Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to our Fireside chat focusing on new business opportunity for sustainable growth. I'm Max Lee, the CEO of Pantas, and it's my honor to guide today's discussion. As we are all aware, the global environment and the challenges posed by climate change stand as a paramount concern for our generation. It is an imperative now more than ever for businesses and financial institutions to act. But in every challenges, there is a silver lining. The chance for forward-thinking entity like all of us here to seize new sustainable opportunity and spearhead transformative changes. So without further ado, let me introduce our esteemed panelists. From UOB, we have Mr. Chow, Wong, who serve as the Chief Sustainability Officer, and representing KBank, we are joined by Dr. Karin Boonlertvanich, their Head of Corporate Strategy and Innovation. So before diving into this discussion, I would like to shed light on my company's Pantas' role in the sustainability journey. We have developed a robust AI-powered software platform that streamlines business capability to track, not just track, but to reduce and report their carbon footprint and broader ESG data. Our goal is to simplify carbon accounting and seamlessly integrate it into every business strategy. By making this data both accessible and actionable, we guide businesses toward more informed decisions, especially in the area of sustainability and decarbonization. For instance, if a company aims to reduce their carbon emission by 50% by the end of this decade to align with the Paris Agreement target, what steps should it take? What solutions are available? So our software delivered tailored decarbonization solution based on the data collected. So I hope some of you have the chance to watch the Apple video that was launched 2 days ago. It's called Mother Nature. It's a great video. It's a great advertisement about sustainability, how Apple going about with carbon neutral product. But as they embark on this, it also creates a risk for their existing supplier, not just them, but their supplier on how they need to reduce their carbon emission as well to support this carbon neutral product. But for companies that's not in the supply chain, it's an opportunity, a competitive advantage if you start to look into this. So a standout initiative that we have developed is a greening value chain program, what we call GVC, that was crafted in partnership with the Central Bank of Malaysia. Through GVC, we aim to be the bridge between large corporation and SME. So linking them with the right decarbonization solution to reduce supply chain emission. This is what we call scope 3 emission, and this is how Apple and all these large MNCs is trying to get their supply chain to decarbonize. So, and it's not just about offering solution. We back this up with affordable financing option. And I think that's why we're here, and that's why we have Dr. Karim and Wong in here. So we recognize that intention doesn't always translate to action. Many businesses want to be eco-conscious, carbon neutral, net zero, and all this stuff. But they may fall short in execution due to a lack of resources or understanding. And this is where we fill in the gap. Post-carbon assessment, we don't just provide you with the data, but actionable insight, whether it is to transition to solar energy or enhancing energy efficiency back with financing from our banking partner, such as KBank. So as we look ahead, we actively seek more partnership with forward-looking companies, financial institution, and decarbonization partner, because together we can amplify our impact. So I know that I spoke a lot of words, so if you're curious about how it really works, do join us for a demo actually at the stair stage on the first floor at noon today. But next, I want to shift our attention to our panelists. So financial institutions like KBank and UOB are pivotal in this arena. They lead the way, devising innovative solutions that help businesses embrace sustainable practice. So today, we are keen to deep dive into our panelists' area of expertise. We aim to shed light on the unique opportunity they have harnessed and discover their collaborative effort with business in this era of heightened sustainability focus. So I would like to start with Dr. Karin. So KBank has positioned itself at the forefront of sustainable banking. So can you share some notable entrepreneurial startup initiative or green tech solution that you have come across? And furthermore, how does KBank foster such innovation through development and funding program?
Thank you, Max. Start with the sustainability business. I think when we talk about sustainability business or ESG business or green tech, we can divide it into three types of categories. The first one, what we call like a hard tech. We talk about green energy, carbon captures technologies. We talk about those hard science. The second one on the other side is about what we call the soft tech. We talk about measurings, offsetting, reportings, the carbon footprints, like Pantas is doing to help see the data of the carbon emissions. Those kind of is a soft tech. And then the things in between is what we call the ecosystem building. Because in terms of the challenge in this ESG transition is that for the ecosystems, there will be the challenge on market adaptation or adaptations. There will be challenge on the lack of knowledge of the customers. Because of that, there will be an opportunities in terms of building ecosystem there. Okay, and by what we say is about building ecosystem, think about Thailand. In Thailand, we talk about, when people here in this room, when we talk about carbon emissions, we may not feel that it immediately impact our health. But if we talk about the PM 2.5 in Bangkok, now we can realize that it's very close to ourselves. And then I'm not sure any of you know that the main source of the PM 2.5 in Bangkok is from motorcycle. Because that's I would say the least efficient type of vehicle to emit PM 2.5. When at KBank, we see that is one of the things about the physical health of the people in Bangkok. Second, we see the challenge that I'm not sure any of you know or not, but in the master roadmap from the energy minister, we will have the new motorcycle to be sold in Thailand in 2025. All of that has to be an EV bike. Now that's a challenge because the manufacturer, they would like to see more of the demand first before they can reduce the price, before they can add more of for the EV bike, they use the battery swap stations to cover all the areas. On the buyer, they would like to see a lot of swap stations first. They would like to see the price going down first before they can decide to buy. So we can see the impact to the social, what we call the chicken and egg kind of situation between the buyer and the manufacturers that who want to invest in those EV swap, battery swap stations first. We at the bank, those are our customers. The manufacturers are our customers, the dealers are our customers, and actually the consumers are our customers. So why not the bank build these ecosystems? And that's why we create what we call the WhatsApp platforms. It's a combination of both physical EV swap stations and the digital battery, the EV bike, battery swaps apps. That is universal. It means that we can join with all of the brands. If you think in the future, if we have each of the manufacturer to have each brand of the swap station, you will have another era of like the rainbow ATM machines that we have seen in Thailand. We don't want to see that. We banks have experienced that. So we think that for the EV swap station in Thailand to be more efficient, it has to be a universal swap stations. That's why KBank, and then with the enabling from the Bank of Thailand allow us to do, we create the platforms. And then if any of you are interested, you can go down to see the booth of KBank downstairs. The WhatsApp platform is a physical and digital platform together that helps the countries to transition, help build ecosystem, and then help the manufacturer and the buyers such that we build the swap station ourselves, and then we build the digital platform ourselves. And then all of the carbon emission and anything will be added later. And then the green digital finance or payment can be added to their platforms. So I think on On to the questions, how can bank help and get into this kind of situation? In terms of hard technologies, we financing it. In terms of soft technologies or data, we help partner with startup to see that. And in terms of the ecosystem building, if there's opportunities, we will help create it. In terms of the second question is on the banking financing. I'm not sure any of you have read the Paris Agreement yourself or not. If you read the Paris Agreement, actually in Article number 2, there are 3 enable objectives from the Paris Agreement in 2015. The first one is the mitigations, the second one is adaptation, and the third one is financial flow. It has been added, the financial or the banking sector has been added into the Paris Agreement in 2015. And because of that, a big move in the economies and everything has emerged because of that. And what we think is that as a bank, it's not just about lending. For KBank, I think we are the first bank that issue what we call the sustainability bonds 5 years ago in this region. So it was environmental and for social. We issued that sustainability bond, not just because we need funding. We would like to see how it works. And then after that, we help our customers issue green bonds, sustainability bonds, so that they can raise fund themselves. And then thirdly, we are also an investor. I think we are one of the main buyers of green and sustainability bonds in Thailand in these regions. So you can see that for the bank, it's not just about green loans, giving loans. We help create the capital markets or green capital market flows from issuance into the buying or investing of that, so that all the loop of financial can be included. I think that is the role of KBank. And not just about debt. On equity side, and for startups, our VC arms, which is the Beacon VC or the Beacon Ventures that we have set up what we call the impact funds last year, $30 million to help invest equity investment in the startups, both the hard technologies and the soft technologies, so that we can help partner with them and help all the Thai economy transition into the sustainability era. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Karin. And I actually visited the booth, the battery swap. It's amazing, and like you said, we need a common infrastructure. And in fact, a lot of people don't know this, but actually Thailand is second, only behind China in the whole Asian region in terms of EV adoption. Thailand is doing great when it comes to EV. More to be done, but it's much higher than Japan, Korea, etc. So it's a great thing to see that KBank is working hard to support this initiative. So next, I'll move to Wong. With your net zero target announced last year, can you share a little bit more on the net zero commitment and how UOB is approaching decarbonization in this sector? How are we creating a sustainability ecosystem in the various sectors within Thailand with your youth solution? And lastly, which project from UOB Thailand will we expect to see that promote the local sustainability ecosystem similar to the FinLab Green Tech Accelerator?
Before I start on that, I want to add on to his point. For the EV market, in fact, in Thailand, for the past quarter, in the whole of Southeast Asia, we corner about 80% of sales. So really, this is one sector that we other than KBank ourselves as well, we are looking at that whole ecosystem. So to introduce you a little bit on our net zero commitment. So with sustainability as one of the key strategic pillar for UOB Group, we actually announced our net zero commitment last year that targets on 6 sectors within 2 large ecosystems. So within the energy ecosystem, we look at power generation, automotive, oil and gas. And within the built environment ecosystem, we'll look at the real estate, construction, and steel. So we chose these 6 sectors mainly because it's the highest emissions and they are material to our portfolio, taking out about 60% of the wholesale loan books. And what it means is that we'll start redirecting our balance sheet and redirecting our capital towards businesses that are transitioning and towards activities that are more green. So for example, within the automotive ecosystem, if we have a borrower that's in the that's a ICE manufacturer or the ICE ecosystem versus a EV manufacturer and an EV ecosystem, you can expect us to direct the capital towards that EV ecosystem. Right. So our net zero commitment, the sectors, is where we will start looking at that transitioning activities. But what qualifies as green? So this is so for example, right? Hydropower. It's a renewable energy, and most banks will just say that yes, it's a renewable energy. Let's take it. But for UOB, we do not qualify large-sized hydropower as green, mainly because of the negative impacts it makes on the surrounding habitat and the displacement of the other biological ecosystems. So where our sustainable financing framework come into play is to help our clients identify what qualifies as green against rigorous standards against the rigorous international standards. Now, we currently have about 5 frameworks that it's assured by third parties, and you can expect more of these frameworks to roll out as we develop more of these qualifying activities. Now, from this framework, that's where we came up with the U solution. And U solutions are actually a ecosystem, comprehensive ecosystem financing where we target the end-to-end value chain. And I'll use the U Drive as an example that's actually being showcased downstairs, right? And again, touching on the EV ecosystem. So the U Drive is an EV ecosystem financing mechanism where we look at the whole value chain, upstream to downstream, basically at the auto manufacturers, the end buyers, the distributors, and even the charging infrastructure players, right? And with what we realize is that it not only just benefits the large corporates, it also benefits the smaller size dealers, the smaller size companies. And I'll just use the BYD and River example, which is quite well known in Thailand. So River is the exclusive distributor for BYD vehicles, and they started the banking relationship with us since the Siam Motor days, and they wanted to pivot into EV, and that's why they came to us. Now, BYD is a long-term customer of ours from UOB China, and they wanted a bank that understands the local market and understands the ASEAN market well, and that's why they came to us. Now, the challenge for BYD at that time, for this brand BYD, and if you recall, last year when they, or earlier this year when they first came in, BYD is a new brand to the market, right? No one knows this brand, and you can imagine that it is extremely difficult to obtain bank loans if you are a dealer that wants to sell BYD vehicles, right? Because first, dealers will need to set up new companies, they will need to put in capital injections for your new showrooms, you will need working capital to do your deliveries to your customers. And for banks, we'll feel that it's very uncertain because we don't know how the brand will be doing in this market. We don't know whether the projected sales can cover our loan repayments, right? So that is where we feel that actually the U-Drive solution actually alleviate these problems for the dealers in particular. So what it does is that dealers within this BYD ecosystem and dealers that purchase vehicles, EVs from River directly, can tap into this ecosystem financing which we avail to this group of dealers. So anyone who wants to purchase or wants to deal in BYD vehicles, they can tap on this. And the most important thing is that they are able to deliver that vehicles to the end consumers quickly, fast, efficient, smooth, and without the limitations of any working capital constraints. Now, of course, other than the U-Drive solution, we also have the U-Solar and the U-Energy, which targets at the solar adoption ecosystem and also the energy efficiency ecosystem. Now, that's how UOB looks into the creating the sustainable finance ecosystem from a top-down sectoral approach that covers the whole value chain and looking deep into the individual archetypes pain points. So we wanted to create something that actually really addresses the issues like what I mentioned on the dealer side, the access to capital. Now, how about the bottom-up approach, right? So the bottom-up approach is where you have ready solutions by green techs, by solution providers that can address immediately the sustainability statement, problem statement from individual companies, right? And that's where we launched our UOB FinLab Green Tech Accelerator last year. So this program is aimed to match the solution providers directly to the company's problem statements. And it is a 3-month regional program. And within this program, we will connect industry mentors, industry experts to the green tech solutions and give the solution providers a chance to showcase their pilots, obtain some funding, and more importantly, we wanted to try to help them commercialize by connecting our clients to them, the regional clients to them. And given that it's pretty successful, we will expect that to come again in the coming months, coming years, right? So I know Pantas is part of the Green Tech Accelerator program. So I'm not sure if it's as good as what I mentioned in your experience, but maybe you can share a little bit more on that as well.
Yep. So full disclosure, we are part of the inaugural group of startup that joined the UOB Green Tech Accelerator last year. They brought all of us to Singapore. The accelerator was crucial in our growth. It connects us with the relevant mentor and industry partner to showcase and trial our solution. And considering the nascent nature of sustainability and green tech, that there's a scant amount of precedence or experience to rely on. Like you sometimes just don't know who to talk to, where to trial the solution, etc. So this program really it provides a comprehensive learning opportunity and to help us really grow our business. Since we joined that green tech, we started in Malaysia. Now we are in Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, and Malaysia. So it's been great, and excited that UOB is going to launch it in Thailand as well. So next is, in our first question, we touch on the opportunity and innovative solution that financial institution offer to businesses and green tech. So now, for our next topic, let's discuss the challenges that this financial institution encounter when introducing innovative solution, whether developed internally or by green tech firm. So I'll start with Dr. Karin. So green tech startup, us included, we face unique challenges. So from KBank's perspective, what are these challenges, especially when it comes to matching the supply of the solution to business demand? And what are some common features or need expressed by businesses and SME in relation to green tech solution?
Thank you. For startup or green techs, I think the most critical one is about the meaningful ambitions. I think for this room, you can imagine, I guess all of us here are more focusing on why we need to do this than how. Because comparing to the previous section, we talk about AI and things. I think people in the previous room are focusing on how. What are the things, what are the AI? But to focusing on the ESG business, I think all of us here should be happy with ourselves that we are focusing more on why. And then for startup to be successful, it means that in this journey, it's more like a marathon than a short race. Meaning that we have to focus on what is a meaningful problem to be addressed first. And then, for example, the WhatsApp platform for KBank. We introduced this idea to all board members. And then the key objective, believe it or not, is not about the ROI or whatever. Our board member asks about, in the mature state, how much of the PM 2.5 that we can reduce for Bangkok? And we say it's 750 tons per year. How much greenhouse gas that if we fully develop as we plan, can be reduced? And we say it's about 750,000 tons per year, equal to about 80 million trees planted. So that is what we aim for. The solutions, it can be battery swap station, it can be charging station, that doesn't matter. We're looking at why we need to do this first. And then on the startup, as I say, for the hard tech, I think the key success will be on innovations, scalabilities, and affordabilities. Many technologies if you want to succeed, you have to have three things. Some of them have innovations, scalable, but not affordable. Something like that. So we need to have that three things. On the ecosystem building, on the green ecosystem, I think we need to have something like, first is about integrations between physical and digital platforms, like physical swap station and digital apps. Secondly, it has to be seamless between the service itself and the payment and the financials. Things have to be seamless together in one single touch point. And the third will be on universals, because these are in the transitions. It will be too costly and not affordable for each of the players to have each own platforms. So it has to be universal platforms. All the manufacturers can share the same cost. I think that is for the ecosystem building. On the soft tech, similar to Pantas, I think there are a few key ingredients. The first one will be the traceabilities of the data. The second one is about the transferabilities of the data, the green data, the carbon footprint, those kind of things. And the last one will be how can we make that traceable and transferable to be more meaningful in terms of financials, inclusion, in terms of financing, how can we adopt those data with the financial sectors. I think these are the few key ingredients that all of the green techs in these three separate businesses have to overcome.
Thank you, Dr. Karin. I share a sentiment, and I'll add more to that. But in the interest of time, let's jump to Wong Yin first. So from a bank's perspective, what are the main challenges you observe from your client who are trying to adopt sustainability as part of the business? Are there any challenges for UOB when developing your own solution, and then any innovative solution that may help address this challenge?
Okay, before I start addressing the questions, so this is my third panel of the week, and every time every time it's on the sustainability panel, somehow it just comes after the AI panel, and it's a bit. I'm calling this out. It's a bit disheartening that every time the AI panel, generative AI, everyone is so excited, the room is full, right? But once it moves to the sustainability panel, half the room will go out. So first, thank you all for staying put, and really much appreciated. So that's the first thing I want to say. Now, the real main challenge, which you alluded earlier, is that although many of us know the why, many do not know the how and where to start. Right, so this is the main challenge we saw and we observed. And at UOB, we actually did a 2023 business outlook study that we surveyed over 500 Thai companies, and we found out that 96% actually feels that sustainability is very important, right? But about 50% do not have sustainable practices in place, and I expect that 50% just walked out the room, lah. Yeah, so. The issue is that I would say that this shows that many businesses are aware that the impacts of climate change and the importance of sustainability, but really they do not know where to start. So for companies like that do not know where to start, my suggestion, and we often say this to our clients as well, first identify where you can make the biggest positive long-term impact for the economy, for social, for the environmental well-being. So this is a very good place to start. Now at UOB, we are also looking to launch something particularly for the SMEs and the mid-sized businesses to address this gap. And please watch this space. Next year, first quarter, we'll be releasing something for the SMEs. Now, the second issue, which also Dr. Karin alluded to, the second main challenge is the data accuracy and data availability. And this can be addressed from the bank's perspective and the business's perspective. So from the bank's perspective, right, from the 6 sectors I mentioned earlier, there's one sector that is extremely material to the bank, then extremely material to this part of the world, this region, Thailand and Southeast Asia. And we have always heard that Thailand is the kitchen of the world, right? Which is agriculture, right? And agriculture makes up more than 30% of the Thai population workforce. So it is a very important industry, very important sector. But why is it not in our UOB net zero commitment? And it's mainly because of insufficient data points, right? And we are unable to come up with the right data points to do our emissions baselining and identify a right benchmark to benchmark on agriculture. Because agriculture, as you know, there are annual crops, which is corn and all that, and then perennials, and then you still have different livestock and things like that. So it is a very complicated industry, and because of the lack of data points, we are unable to include that. Now, from the business perspective, right, and I feel that from the business side, what we can reasonably expect over the coming years is that and two things, right? When you transition to a low economy. So first, be it market expectations or regulatory requirements, you will need to start reporting your Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3 emissions at some point in time. And this applies to the smaller companies too. And further down the road, you will also need to start showcasing your decarbonization plans, your transition plans, and basically to see whether it aligns with the country's net zero pathway. Now, why this information is actually very essential for banks and regulators because they will showcase whether your targets are ambitious enough and whether it follows the country's glide path and whether it follows the interim targets, emissions targets. So what we realize is that many companies, particularly SMEs, find that data availability, data accuracy is a big problem, right? Because you imagine, right? How are you supposed to put in resources to track Scope 1, to track the Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3, and even come up with a decarbonization plan when your main priority is business survival, right? So this is where I feel that AI, okay, I'm talking about a sexy word now, AI, and green techs can come to help solve the problem, right? So AI, and in particular machine learning, can help to fill in important greenhouse gas emissions data. And more importantly, to predict Scope 3 emissions data, which is obviously very difficult to obtain from your whole value chain. Now, back to the car dealer example. So if you are a small car dealer, how are you supposed to track your automaker's manufacturing process emissions? And you are supposed to also track your, say, your end buyer customers' distances they travel, and also how the cars are disposed, right? So these are very practical challenges where the typical SME or even a large corp cannot, is not able to address unless they have, of course, fitted out sensors and track at the asset level and things like that. So this is where I feel that machine learning can come and play a very big role to help address these gaps and more accurately predict that Scope 3 by analyzing patterns within each individual archetypes and by using industry trends and averages and making educated predictions. I know this is not as sexy as generative AI, but it is where machine learning can really come and bring us to the next level.
Thank you, Wong. So I just want to add, because we work with a lot of large corporations, especially exporter to Europe, etc. They are required to do the reporting, especially when it comes to Scope 3, to tackle the carbon border adjustment mechanism, which is the EU carbon tax situation. So sadly, for a lot of businesses, yes, they said sustainability is important, but it's not the top priority. And the question we always face is like, who's going to pay for this? Especially when it comes to SME, you ask me to do all this, are you going to pay more for this? And large corporations usually say, we want you to do this, but not really. We're going to pay the same. Or in fact, we actually want to reduce costs more, even more. So it is a struggle. So what we are trying to do here is create an ecosystem where the large corporation and their supplier benefit. So I'll give one example, the company I work with. So they are able to, it's an agriculture company, they are able to sell, able to track the emission, etc., the traceability of the product, segregate it, and sell it at a premium. And then they go to this supplier and say, if you follow this, we are able to buy it at a premium because we are selling at a premium, we are sharing that profit with you. And that's how they incentivize the smaller guys to start caring for this. Because, to be honest, for SME, there are a lot of things that are on their mind. Sustainability is usually the last thing. So unless you can switch that around and say, hey, if you do this, it means more revenue, and you're also saving the world at the same time, then that's where things start to make a difference. So, in the interest of time, I'm going to jump into, we're going to start with our concluding remarks. So, we have glanced insight from panelists about the opportunity that the sustainable movement presents to businesses and financial institutions, as well as the challenges encountered in crafting innovative solutions. So, to conclude the session, I would like each panelist to share their primary takeaway. So, Dr. Karin and Wong Yin, as we look into the future, what strategy do you think financial institutions should adopt to strengthen sustainability and further capitalize on green tech opportunity? I'll start with you, Dr. Karin.
I think at the moment, it's the right time that there's a lot of research saying that the customers are more willing to pay or to use the ESG-friendly kind of products, or even Apple just issued a net zero product first a few days ago. And then employees, a lot of research are saying that if you are companies and you are ESG compliant, they are more willing to stick with your companies. The third is about investors. A lot of funds, the green bond funds, the green startup funds, the impact funds, a lot of money is pouring into this kind of business. And lastly, regulators. Bank of Thailand and many other regulators are more now, I would say, facilitating the transitions. So all these saying that we are not at KBank, when we talk about this kind of thing, we are not talking about ESG or this kind of thing as a CSR, as an expense. We try to encourage all of our customers say that this is a business opportunities. One research from McKinsey saying that in the next 10 years, there will be 100 to 200 decacorns. Decacorn means that it's 10 times bigger than unicorn startups in these kind of ESG tech or green tech company. So it's 100 to 200 decacorns in a few 10 years. And even in terms of carbon accounting software like Pantas, the market valuation now is about 15 billion total. And it is expected to be about 65 billions on market valuation of this carbon software in the next few years. So we're looking at this as opportunities. It's just how can all of us can capture that, not be the victims of whatever changing, but we're looking at it as opportunities. And then to the end of the analogies, people talk about the EV car. We would like to use these as analogies that in an EV car, you need to have navigators, the target. And the government, the regulators set the target, the direction of the countries. I think that is the navigations. There's a motor to make the car running. And then those are the hard science, the private sectors that are doing their jobs on creating a good motors. But the car cannot be run without a battery. And the financial sectors are the battery of that EV cars. We need to finance the right views. We need to finance all of the private sectors such that we can all get to the target that we all aim to have. So lastly, but to end that, it's not about the ESG, it's not about the CSR, it's about the business opportunities, and it's not that we do it alone. We have to do this kind of transition together. Maybe in the near future, you can see some collaboration between UOB and KBank or sort of Pantas in the near futures. Thank you.
Wong Yin.
Okay, I know it was a heavy session, right? But if there is really any takeaway, it's two things: partnerships and capacity building, right? So if there's something that you can take away today, just focus on these two. So why partnerships, right? So when the role of a bank is to direct capital into the economy and make and basically help to finance investments in infrastructure and basically direct capital into areas which we feel that is the right sector. So, but what we realize when we talk to our clients is that when they want to look at their decarbonization strategy, and often it is their scope 3 that is the hardest to influence. And when we take another look at this, we look at the companies that are successfully reducing their scope 3, what we found, and it's almost all the companies, what we found is that they actually can do it because of the partnerships with the external solution provider or they are doing a joint partnership with the supplier to do it, and of course with the help of the financial partner. And where I'm coming from is that maybe the role of a financial institution, rather than being just a financial intermediary, we can also start being a partnership intermediary, where we bring in ecosystem partners to help address various problems, and at the same time grow that project, that scope 3 reduction project. So things like that, right? And the second thing I want to allude is the capacity building side. So Dr. Karin mentioned about the why, right? And I can say that for our job, I think one of the key things that we really want to do is to build that capacity for all our bank staff. So imagine if you go to the bank and the bank staff sells you a green loan or asks you to invest in an ESG fund, and they can articulate why are they doing this. Now, for a customer that's not even interested, right, they will straight away think, maybe it's time I start on this journey. So the capacity building part, and I have to say this is one of the toughest part, is to get people interested and get people to understand, right? And make it fun, right? It's one of the most important, and that's where I also believe that EdTech has a very big space to play here, to make sustainability more engaging, more fun, and maybe at some point be comparative to generative AI.
Okay, thank you. I think my takeaway is the same, capacity building and partnership. And in fact, we were involved in I think, in Thailand, we actually worked with KBank on a very interesting pilot, because a hotel, and they want to attract more of the European clients who do care more about net zero, etc. So we pitched the idea as, this is not a cost, but it's an opportunity for you to start this and attract more customers. So we start them with the calculation and then identify hotspot for the emission, and then K-banks come in with a solution provider and the financing. And as we speak, they are going through the solar energy installation, etc. And then once we are done, we'll continue to monitor it so that they can embark on the next step. So that's one example. And then, of course, we want to help them. The AgTech comes in to say, hey, we've done all this, tourists, etc. You come here, you're not making an environmental impact if you stay in a hotel. We have done this very successfully in Malaysia as well with Datai. They're a super luxury hotel, and they do believe that by doing this, they're able to increase their room premium by by targeting this specific eco-conscious tourists. So on that note, we bring this session to a close. So thank you of my fellow panelists, and thank you BOT for hosting this.
Thank you very much, all the panelists, to share with us your journey and also your wisdom on the topic. Is very insightful.